don't hire too fast, don't scale too fast, and that's something I'm doing. Like I scaled very, very slowly. Like
I read in another interview with you that you have ADHD.
it helps me like with focusing very, very sharp on some things. Especially when I'm excited about certain topics, I can spend a lot of hours into it without taking a break. Sometimes friends ask me like, how much do you work? And I don't know, like I'm working constantly. I'm working before sleep, I'm working in the morning, I'm working all the time.
Today I'm here with Janu Lingeswaran, who worked as a data engineer, software developer, and product manager, and now is a founder of a software development agency called FeatherFlow. He's also very active on social media like X and LinkedIn, where he shares his journey. Hey, Janu, great to have you here.
Hey, Adam, nice to be here.
Right. I know your agency that you have been sharing a lot on social media is not like a very traditional one, right? You don't hire people, you don't work from office. Most of your stuff that you do is remote. I'm kind of curious, how does that affect your agency? Would you say it's a good approach? Do you see any downsides in that?
First of all, I like to call FeatherFlow a product studio, not a software engineering agency, because every time I hear like software agency, I think about like these agencies which try to like sell as many man hours as possible, and they're not that deeply involved like in the product decisions and like building products. So I like to call us a product studio, and we also are like design heavy the last few months. So that's like the first thing. And the other thing, yeah, we are all remote. We don't have an office. And we have two full-time employees. Everyone else are like freelancers. And the reason we don't have that many full-time employees is because we are too small, right? That's probably the only reason. The goal is always like to build a core team and to grow the core team, to hire more people full-time. And the reason we are remote is because it's not that easy to gather talent at one place. So it's easier to find very talented people all over the world than like to find people in one city or like in one country. That's like probably the main reason right now. But we are also planning to have an office at some point, maybe next year. Yeah, the downside is probably it's hard to build like culture. It's also hard to build like like people who know each other very well, because if they're only messaging via Slack, for example, or per email, a lot of people who work for FeatherFlow, they know each other only because of work, and they don't talk about private stuff. So there's like I think culture is the right word.
Would you say it's like the biggest barrier to entry into starting a software studio or an agency? Would you say that the biggest barrier is actually hiring people and scaling up, because it's a lot of effort to hire a full-time employee, right? So I suppose this freelance part is much or this freelance strategy is much easier, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't need like a very full lead pipeline, right? You can hire people project based. You can give people like monthly contracts. That makes things easier. I scaled up very, very slowly. I know friends who also had software agencies, or like also design agencies, product studios, and so on. And I know only a few stories of people who hired way too fast. They hired like the first 2-3 people. I know even people who hired like 15 people, 20 people plus, because they had maybe one big contract, and then after the contract ended, they really struggled like bringing more contracts in the same deal size. So that's something I always was scared of. And like one of the things people told me in the beginning was like, don't hire too fast, don't scale too fast. And that's something I'm doing. Like I scaled very, very slowly. Like I think we are like now 1.5, 2 years in, and I only like for next month we have like 3 full-time employee, plus me. So yeah, we scaled very slowly, and I think that's a good strategy.
Do you plan to eventually? I know you mentioned you actually want to have an office. Do you plan to hire standard full-time employees as well?
Yeah, 100%. That's the plan for next year. We are planning to have 2 or 3 full-time employees, also locally here in Germany. Also to have like some FeatherFlow core center here in Germany, because especially for German clients, it makes sense. They want to see like there's some team working together in a city. For some companies, it's still weird to have like a global remote team. I think it makes sense for like a SaaS company or like a company who already built something and they're iterating on it and they found product market fit. But especially like as an agency working together on lot of different projects, it can be hard sometimes to work like this. But yeah.
So, do you try to employ right now, when you are still working remote? Do you try to employ people from Germany to perhaps potentially convert them into full-time office employees, or does it matter at this point?
You mean like which people I want to hire in the future, like in the first
Um,
full-time hire?
Yeah, I'm more asking about how to approach hiring people from different countries. If you are
Mhm.
looking at specific countries, if maybe some have some advantages. If you
Mhm.
are thinking about right now hiring from Germany because you eventually
Mhm.
plan to move into an office, right? So maybe
Mhm.
you would like to convert those people to go to the office as well.
Yeah, makes sense. Like we already have like right now two full-time employees, and they're from Asia. They're from India and from Pakistan. The main reason I hired from Asia is because there's a very big talent pool, and it's like like very cheap in comparison to like German hires, way cheaper. Especially if you want to hire freelancers. Like before I hired them full time, they were like freelancers for FeatherFlow, and freelancers are even more expensive than like a full-time employee, like based on an hour. So that's the reason we hired like from Asia. And now I hired someone from Germany for next month, but only part time. And that's like the goal. Like he's like the first German full time employee. Will hopefully be the first German full time employee. And together with him, I want to like build a team around us. Yeah, they have to be German, like especially at least one or two people. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to have an office to sit there alone. Um, yeah, maybe my plan is like to hire like maybe one to two people from Germany for next year, and maybe someone from another country.
Yeah, I had a similar experience when I was trying to hire someone to help me out. It's not even like, of course, one thing is that people from Asia are much more affordable. Their work is much more affordable because the living standards that are different, their economy is different, right? Um,
Hmm.
but also the amount of people online who are from these countries is just huge. Most of the people that I talked to and that applied to working with me were from these countries. So it was just natural naturally, they were from these countries. Um,
Yeah.
I'm also maybe curious, what's your experience with working, because you worked in as a product manager as well, right?
Hmm.
Um, what's your experience with working with freelancers versus working with normal employees? Would you say maybe freelancers are more reliable? Do they have like a better work ethic because they work for themselves, or
Hmm.
would you say it's not true?
That's a good question. Because when I was a product manager, we didn't have like a huge team of designers, for example. We had a lot of engineers, and they were in the company for a lot of years. I think I was the youngest person in the company, and it was like a hidden champion company. So everyone in the company was super cracked. Like everyone was good in his job. There was no one who was like mid or even bad or something like that, because it doesn't work for a company like that. If it's a small SaaS company, but they were small in like people, but they have made a lot of revenue because they were like a hidden champion, had the best product on the market. So and I didn't see anyone who lacked like work ethic. And as for freelancers, it depends. I worked with a lot of freelancers who hmm, wasn't that well, and I worked with freelancers who delivered like brilliant work. So yeah, it's hard to make a comparison, but I think it's as a company, it's sometimes easier to have full-time employees because if you have a freelancer, especially project based, sometimes they have to share their attention between different products, right? And if you have sometime full time, they can put all their focus on this one project or like on this client, and they're like probably more advantages to hire full time than freelancers. The big upside of hiring a freelancer is like the flexibility and like yeah, you don't have to be like I don't have to pay him in 3 or 4 months if I don't want to. But if a full time employee, you need like a very full lead pipeline. You have to have like money on your bank account, right? You have to need like
Yeah.
buffer.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned before that you are based in Germany and you run your agency or studio from Germany. Um, does it have any advantages when working with clients from other countries, for example, directly from Germany? Do they perhaps trust you more? I know that Germans are kind of like notorious for that.
You mean like with non-German clients?
I mean, with German clients,
Oh, okay.
if you find it's easier working with German clients because you are from Germany.
I think it's easier for us than for people who are not from Germany. That's
Mhm.
100%. I think it's a huge advantage if you speak like the mother tongue of the country the client is coming from. In the beginning, we focused a lot on US clients. I think all our first 4 or 5 clients were from the US. And I
Mhm.
didn't even touch German clients because I had like bad experiences as a freelancer and I didn't went into it. But at some point, I realized, hey, it's a huge advantage to be German for German clients. I can go for German clients. Uh, Other agencies, other studios from other countries probably can't go for. But it's the same other way around. I also met like US founders, US entrepreneurs who told me, "Hey, we only work with US agencies, and we only work from US agencies from the same cities, even sometimes from
Mhm.
San Diego, for example. And they want to work with an agency where they can go to the office, talk with them face to face. So I think it's an advantage in general if you are like more accessible to them locally.
And do you think that's going to give you an advantage when you have office as well? That maybe you will get more clients from that city or that country because they will just like to come to your office and talk with you.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how often these people will come to the office, especially like in what we are doing. It's not that important that they have to come to the office, but it
Yeah.
helps with trust. I think that's the main reason. For example, if you kick off a big project with a client, they would love to come to the office, or you can go to their office and kick off the helps like with building connections with these people, especially if you have like very big companies. You want them to be your partner for 10, 15 years, and it helps a lot if you can see them in real life. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think it's also like one of the reason why many agencies and studios try to do like intro calls with clients, even though they work async after,
Mhm.
because it just there's like more trust when you jump on a call, even if it's like only for 30 minutes to meet each other. There's like it's a different sort of relationship, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh, when you were trying to work with, or when you were working with US clients at first, did you find it challenging with the time zones?
We didn't have like clients from the West Coast. All of our clients were from the East Coast. That made it way easier. I think you are in the same time zone as like me, and like I had one, not a client, but what like a lead from LA, and that was like only like the 2 discovery calls we had like were horrible because they were very late here. Um, so yeah, no, it was totally fine. I think when they wake up, it's like noon here, and
Mhm.
it's even nice sometimes. We can prepare stuff in the morning, and when they wake up, we can send stuff to them. That can be a nice effect sometimes.
Yeah, fair enough. I had a client that only responded to me, who was from the US, and only responded to me very late afternoon in their time. So for me, it
Mhm.
was like midnight, and I always get
Oh yeah,
messages from them at midnight. It was not a very good experience. But otherwise than
yeah, I
that,
can imagine.
I agree with you. Um, I read in another interview with you that you have ADHD. I'd like to ask you a little bit about that.
Mhm.
For example, how does it affect your work? Did
Mhm.
you how do you deal with it day to day?
It affected me like a very big part of my life, especially like in university. I really struggled with like studying. I studied like computer science here in Germany, very traditionally, in one of the leading universities here in Germany, and I really struggled with studying because it was very boring. I think you also study computer science, right? And
Mhm.
yeah, I really struggled like sitting down and reading this very dry, boring papers and stuff without any connection to the real life. Um, but something I learned like the recent years, it's very important for me to do things I love doing. Like it's important for everyone, but especially with ADHD, it really helps. I think it's more of an advantage nowadays for me because it helps me like with focusing very, very sharp on some things. Especially when I'm excited about certain topics, I can spend a lot of hours into it without taking a break. I think that's like an advantage, but you have to find your thing. If you don't find the thing you really love, I think a lot of people with ADHD, they struggle in the workplace with focus. But I don't think yeah, no, like work related, I don't have any issues with ADHD. It's more like on the private side, I sometimes struggle with like doing my dishes and stuff like that. Yeah.
Mhm. Gotcha. So, do you think it's from what you're saying, it's easier to deal with it when you're working, for example, right now in FeatherFlow than when you were working for someone else back in the day?
Yeah, definitely. I think there are different reasons for that. The one thing is like you are doing stuff, you get feedback immediately, and you the return is high, right? As an entrepreneur, if you are doing twice as good of a job, your company may maybe way more revenue, but it's not the same for a job. Maybe you get like a bonus on the money side, and especially as a junior, I'm still very young. I'm 29, so I never had like very senior roles, right? I didn't had like the possibility to make like big decisions. A lot of decisions I made never went through to the production, right? Which can be very frustrating as a junior who has but who wants to impact stuff. And if you run your own company, you can do whatever you want. Um, I think that's a nice thing if you have like this feedback loop of you doing stuff and something comes in return. Not just money, but also like the things you are doing. And the other thing is, yeah, it's because I really like doing things. I'm focusing on tasks I like to do. If you have a boss, he can tell you, hey, please focus on these tasks. These have the priority. But if you run a company, you can almost pick the things you are really good at and try to excel at them. And things I'm maybe not like 10 out of 10 in it. I hire people who are better than me in those things. Um, and yeah, that's also a reason I can focus on stuff way better despite of ADHD.
Hmm. Does it perhaps ever happen to you that you're like putting off things that you are not good at it or you don't like doing but are necessary, and maybe then it comes back at you?
Yeah, 100%. I think this year the big topic was like taxes, doing taxes,
Hmm.
and I delayed it like for months. I probably have to pay like a fee or something now. I'm waiting for the letter because I delayed it like way too long. Yeah, that's for example stuff like I hate doing, so I'm delaying things like that. But yeah, in the beginning of the company, 100%, there were probably tasks I didn't like to do, and I focused on the wrong things. But nowadays, with like multiple employees, it doesn't happen that often. Sometimes there are things you should do, but if you don't do, it's not like horrible. That's happens sometimes. Uh, I probably did like a few sales tasks I didn't do, right? Things like follow up and all the classic traditional sales stuff you have to do to maintain clients and find clients. I'm probably lacking in those areas because I like the actual work too, right? Like doing product work, doing working with designers, working with engineers. That's something I enjoy more than like I don't know following up the third time with a potential client to raise the chance to get them as a client. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, so from what I'm hearing, that a lot of things are very similar to how I feel about this stuff. Like I feel like everyone likes to put off things they don't like to do or find it
Mhm.
hard to focus on these things. But
Mhm.
with ADHD, I guess it's just amplified, right? A lot.
Yeah, 100%. I think especially nowadays, I see those patterns ADHD people have like with non-ADHD people. I know a lot of people who thought they have ADHD and then went to the doctor and no, they don't have ADHD. Because I think the biggest difference is for me, I always had this. Like when I was 6 years old, I had the same problems in school. A lot of people develop these patterns because of modern life, right? Like social media and all the exciting stuff around us. And yeah, that messes up our brain, I think. But yeah, I see the same thing with people.
Mhm. Yeah, nowadays it's so easy to get distracted, right? I mean, I have like four different chatting apps on my phone and on my desktop, and sometimes I'm just working on something, and then suddenly a message, even like not from a friend, that it's like sometimes it's just a high priority message, a message from a client comes in or something, and I'm immediately distracted. I'm immediately switching context to something else, So it's very difficult, I think, nowadays to stay focused like this. Do you perhaps use like any tools on your computer to mitigate those distractions? I don't know, like do not disturb modes or something like that.
Uh, Not really. I have like my task list on to-do list and so on, but I have not like on my phone, for example, I don't have a lot of push notifications. Like most of my push notifications are off. But that's more like to protect my peace when I'm not working and not like while I'm working. Um, but no, I'm like I'm living in Slack, right? And there are so many in
Mm,
the messages. Sometimes it's very overwhelming, especially I think like 1 month ago or 2 months ago, we had like 6 projects at the same time. And that was horrible for me because there were like messages from so many people, like at least 10 people at the same time, very different topics, like the context switches. But at the same time, I also enjoy it. Like I'm very good with doing context switches, but the
mm,
big downside is you don't have the time to do deep work, right? I can't sit down for like 2 hours and think about things deeply. That's something I don't have the time. That's something I need, but I need for like to grow a company. So that's one reason I hired someone who helps me with project management, so I can have like some time in the week where I can sit down and think deeply about things or like work on something more deeply. Because if you are always on Slack and trying to make decision, someone comes to you with something and you have to say it's good, it's bad, something is missing. Then you go to the client. That's way too many context switches to make like good deep work, which comes from me.
mhm. You said you hired someone to help you out with the company. How does that work? Are you still like in the primary position of making decisions? I suppose. What does the person help you with?
That's someone I used to study with. That's the guy I mentioned like earlier on. The one I will hire part time and next year
Mm,
hopefully full time. The goal is like to make enough revenue to afford him, basically. And yeah, he will make do a lot of tasks I'm doing right now. He's almost as a co-founder. He will also get revenue share. Um, because it makes sense to that he also profits from the success of the company if he has similar role as me. So he will do a lot of product management work, but also like representation. Like he will go with me to events a lot, do a lot of networking. So he's like, it's like a very like it's almost like a co-founder,
mm,
but with a big focus on like managing current projects with clients.
mhm. And so the reason you are you want to work with him is because you don't have the time in the day to actually focus on your company and grow it.
Yeah, 100%. I think our revenue peaked like 2 months ago, and I really struggled like to keep that same revenue every month, and especially growing. It's almost impossible. Like I'm working like sometimes friends ask me like how much do you work because they're interested, right? They have like the 9 to 5s, and I'm not, and I don't know. Like I'm working constantly, like I'm just working,
Mm,
and sometimes I'm doing stuff with my girlfriend or my friends or family, but every time and I go and make like do like sports, but every other minute I'm spending my week is like work. I'm working before sleep. I'm working in the morning. I'm working all the time. So and the most of the work I'm doing is actually project management, which is important, right? To manage the projects, to manage also quality across projects, but it blocks me from growing the company because for grow a company you have to do a lot of other things and spend a lot of time into things which are not managing projects, and that also takes like
mm,
20-30 hours a week if you want to make it seriously and to grow it to a big company with like an office and full-time employees. So yeah, it's a big blocker right now, especially if you have more projects, you have less time for growing the company. So it's like a cycle of,
mm.
yeah, running between projects.
Yeah, I totally get that. I have very similar experience. I have a very small design studio. Right now, it's just me and sometimes someone is helping me out.
Mhm.
And exactly, the biggest challenge is that you don't have enough. You don't have enough revenue to actually hire someone full time. But uh, often, what happens is that clients or the requests come all at once, and then you don't have time to actually spend growing your studio, looking for other clients, managing relationships, stuff like that. So
Mhm.
so that's been very difficult for me too. And I know you are on X, and there's a lot of people there bragging about crazy revenues, right? Have you
Hmm.
ever thought about how it's possible that obviously some of it is fake, but I
Hmm.
think there are some people that actually have huge revenues and run very small
Hmm.
teams. I don't
Hmm.
know, 4, 3 people. Um,
Hmm.
how do you think they are doing it? Do you think it's even possible?
Um, Depends on the case. What do you mean, like making revenue by being present on X?
I mean, running design studios or
Oh,
development agencies, stuff like that. There's many people who present themselves as running very small teams or sometimes even solo teams and earning some crazy revenues. So yeah.
yeah, there are some cases which are like obviously fake, or like very shady. But yeah, you can run a very, very, very small team and making huge revenue. I know people, um, but hmm, it's difficult. Like it's not something I like. If when people come to me and they are like, "Hey, I want to start an agency," and they see that, I'm always like, "Don't try to imitate that because that's like very unlikely." But with the right context, yeah, I know people, for example, like software agencies who are working for funded San Francisco startups from here from Europe, and you can make lot of money because they always need like manpower, and they don't want to full time hire immediately. So it makes sense for them to outsource certain things, but it's not like the most exciting work to do. It's like you're selling basically man hours and you are like on retainers and you're doing like you are pimping out your employees to other companies basically. I thought about doing the same because it would be like the way easier way to make money, like to just to be like a traditional classic agency and to make hire like some sales guy and sell the man hours. But it's not the thing I want to do. That's why I'm avoiding it. I want to be a product studio. We want to be build products 0 to 1. And we want to be very involved in a lot of decisions. Um, that's the harder way. That's the longer way because not many companies are looking for that. They don't want to outsource this part. And it's very way harder to build the trust to have this kind of to get this kind of projects. But yeah, there are agencies on X who are doing very well, and I know they're not lying. But they are selling very expensive retainers, basically.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense when you put it like that. So you picked basically a harder path.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
it could be easy.
mhm. Do you sometimes regret it? Do you sometimes like wish you picked the easier one and perhaps like cheated a little bit?
No, because something I struggled my whole life because of my ADHD, especially, is like I don't think I was in a job for longer than 2.5 years in my life. Like I always like after 1 or 2 years, I was like, this is boring, and I quit.
Yeah.
And that's because of these kind of companies, right? No one in these agencies are really passionate about the projects they are involved in because they are switching from project to project, and it's like very random, and it's just about making money. And so for me, it was very important, like to be on projects where we like, but not only me, but also the people I'm working with, and to put it in words, like to do cool shit, right? And that's like the
Mhm.
biggest advantage about being an entrepreneur. You can do whatever you want. So I want to use that. Otherwise, I could go back to the job, back to a job. Especially since I'm a full time employee, I got so many very good offers for like jobs, right? Way better offers I got like before, because you have this network, right? You know so many people, and there are people who are working very closely to you, and they see like your value at its best, so they are happy to pay you a lot of money. For example, I got an
Mhm.
offer, I think 2 months ago, in like beginning of the year, and I thought that when I got the first offer, I thought about it like for 1 2 days, but when I got like offer like a few months ago, I thought about like 3 seconds. I was like, oh, crazy, because that's not a salary you get in Germany with my years
Mhm.
of experience. But I said like he called me, and I said immediately no. Because for me, it's like very, very clear. That's the path I want to go, and I don't want to do anything else, especially not for money, right? Not for making more money. Yeah.
Mhm. Uh, do you think you will ever consider it in the future? Maybe in, I don't know, 10 years when you are burned out from your agency and just want to do some very easy job, or is agency the end game here, or FeatherFlow the end game
Um,
here?
I would never go for an easy job. That's never the goal for me. Like I know people who like for example, I tried to hire a good friend of mine as a head of engineer, and he was like, "No, I want the easy job." But
Hmm.
that's not something I would never go for because easy is boring for me. Like I want something challenging but fun. But yeah, I would consider going into a job. Even like if tomorrow someone comes to me with a insanely exciting project and he wants me for an important role and something which would fit me as a person, I would do it probably. But it's very unlikely that this project exists. And the end game is probably not like the thing we are doing right now. The end game is like to have some kind of a venture studio, like building products in house and growing them as well. That's probably the end game. And I can't imagine anything more exciting than that, uh, like in terms of
Hmm.
software building. So that's probably the end game. But yeah, if someone gives me like an offer which I can't deny, like I would probably go for it. Yeah. If someone
Hmm.
comes to
Hmm.
me
And
tomorrow and says, "Hey,
yeah.
500K salary per year plus bonus," yeah, I would kill FeatherFlow the same day.
So, how do you think that would go when, let's say, you already scaled up FeatherFlow, you have, I don't know, 10, 20 employees, you have an office. How do you think that would go, like taking a job elsewhere? Would you try to perhaps sell FeatherFlow, give it to your partner upcoming?
That's a good question. I never thought about it. It's like because that's not something I'm thinking about. But I probably like if we have this amount of employees, there's probably someone who is doing similar stuff like me. For example, the guy I'm hiring, and I would probably give him the role as a CEO, as the yeah, and maybe I would sell out my parts, or I would
Hmm.
uh, be there as like a board member or whatever. I don't know. That's something very futuristic. I
Yeah.
never thought about.
Yeah, I was just wondering very roughly. Um, all right. Since this channel that we are going to be posting this on has like a design angle to it,
Mhm.
I want to ask you a little bit about your site. I saw that you redesigned it a couple of times, right?
We are still in the process. It's happening every week.
Hmm. But I saw you did like two very big revamps, like the whole
Mhm.
design style. What was the reason behind that? Were you just unhappy personally with how it looked, or did you perhaps get feedback from someone else?
Like I don't know which redesign you're talking about because we even had like a dark website like
Mhm.
a year ago,
Yeah.
and then we went to white. That was like the first big redesign because the old design was nice. It was a very well designed website, but uh, it was dark because we were like very techy and we were like, hey, we are a MVP agency, we're building software, and like, but that wasn't like our how to say it, like our USP. Like we were a product, so we were building products, nice products. So our target group wasn't like also very technical people, more like non-technical people. So we went to the white mode, and we wanted to give it a more premium design. Like it should look like more calm and premium. We also doubled our prices in the meantime, so it doesn't like that was probably the main reason we redesigned everything. It should like talk to a different kind of people, like more bigger companies, head of innovation, these kind of people, and less like
Mhm.
solo founders or like small teams.
Gotcha. It is actually very similar to a project that I just worked on,
Hmm.
which is a development studio based in Czech Republic, and they had
Hmm.
a fairly small website. They needed to scale it up,
Hmm.
and initially they wanted to go with a design that felt kind of like techy, nerdy, maybe. It focused very
Hmm.
much on the like coding side of it.
Hmm.
Um, and in the end they decided to go for more like business styled website, right? More like professional, more
Hmm.
positioned towards the people
Hmm.
that are actually going to look at it, right? Because
Hmm.
usually programmers are not the ones that are going to be closing the offer with you. It's someone from marketing, sales, or a founder perhaps. um,
Yeah.
did you do you test your website with users? Do you try to get like feedback on it from clients or someone, or are the changes that you make purely like personal?
There were a few things we changed because we got like feedback. For example, we had like an other headline before. I think our headline was like get your MVP in, I don't know, 21 days or something. And we got a lot of negative feedback about this headline from clients because it worked. This headline worked like for the kind of work we did earlier on with like solo founders, very, very small teams, and they want to be as fast as possible. But later on, if you get if you get into work with like big clients, like it takes longer because the feedback loops are longer, everything takes longer, which is normal. And yeah, the headline just didn't make any sense anymore, and it wasn't like the USP. Like I don't want you to hire me because we are the fastest. I want you to hire us because we deliver the highest quality of work. So that was one of the reasons. And like our whole angle was different, right? Our angle nowadays is like, hey, you are a non-product company and you should build a product using your expertise. So that made us come up with the new slogan we have right now. I think it's like turn your expertise into AI and SaaS products. And yeah, we just, and we one also a reason we did this redesign is because we became more design heavy, right? Like a lot of clients come to us and they want to start with a product design. They want some even like want the branding and everything. That wasn't the case early on. Like I think the first 6-7 months we did any design work. It was only engineering. And then like we had like the first project the client asked for design, and nowadays it's like I think every month we have like design work. So that's also became part of the identity of FeatherFlow. So the website also has to look more like a studio website, like as a design studio website. That was also a reason we went with this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I also saw that you. I mean, I know you are very active on social media. You're active on X. You're active on LinkedIn also. But from what I gather, you sort of slow down your presence, right, on the platforms, and you are more focusing on a different outreach for the clients. If you were to start FeatherFlow again, would you again try to go on X, on LinkedIn, and get clients through there and be as active, build it in public, or would you focus on different types of outreach?
That's a very hard question. It depends like on the situation you are at that point being. For me, it made sense because I was a student. I was just fucking around on X. It was just like for the fun of it, and accidentally it happened something, and it made sense for my business in the beginning. And it's very accessible, right? Everyone has a phone. Everyone has like a laptop, and you can post tweets and make social media posts today. And also connect with people you would never come in touch with otherwise. So yeah, it was very important for me to be on social media and be active there. Most of my clients still come from social media, not directly anymore as we used to. Like in the beginning, it was like I made a post, it went viral, 5 booked calls. That's not the case anymore. I'm not that active anymore on social media, but I built like a very good network of people through social media. And a lot of times it's like people who told me, hey, someone told me about you and they saw you on X, or like, hey, I saw a random post on X, someone talked about you, stuff like that. So it's still very important. But if I would focus on one strategy, it would be probably going on events and meeting people in real life and like talking to people you already know. I think that's like the biggest valuable thing you can do. Something I don't do enough. Because if you go to your LinkedIn profile or to your WhatsApp, there will be at least 10 people who work in companies and they need some kind of product work, engineering work, design work. And they just have to know about you, right? They have to know, hey, Janu, Adam, you are doing this. And then they will come automatically to you. And that's not something I never did, right? Because it felt weird to annoy people from my past. But that's something every successful founder I know, agency founder I know, did to get into clients. And then it's like getting referrals. For example, I don't have a very systematic way to get referrals. It's something you should do as an agency. That's like very important to have like a systematic way of getting referrals, because it's the main way to grow an agency. It's something I don't do very, very much.
Have you tried to figure out a way to do it, to get referrals? Perhaps what are the strategies that you are considering for it?
That's probably a weakness of mine. So no, I didn't figure out a strategy. My strategy is like when the project ends or like it's in the ending, and the client is happy and everything is nice, then I ask them, hey, do you know someone who could probably need our work? The issue with a lot of our clients is like a lot of our clients are like agencies themselves, so there's a conflict of interest. But yeah, we got a lot of clients from referrals in the past. Yeah, but I'm asking them call, asking them on WhatsApp, and then most of the time it happens. But there are probably better ways to do it. Yeah.
I know some people do like referrals that are based like reward based referrals, where they
Oh yeah.
give the client a certain percentage from the closed deal or something like that. Have
Yeah.
you ever considered that?
Yeah, we are doing that. Like we are giving out referrals to everyone. I think 10%, and for people who are
Mhm.
working with us long term as like a partner, 15%. Yeah, for example, we have partnerships with companies. For example, boilerplate companies, like companies who are selling software boilerplates, like templates, and we partner up with them. So they have like a box on their website, and sometimes companies buy the boilerplate because they want to speed up, but
Mhm.
they also have the budget to speed it up even more by hiring someone. So it makes sense to have us as their product partner. That's something we are doing, and we're giving 15% for that. And like for random referrals from clients or even from friends, I even get like very big projects from personal friends from like my private life. I also give like 10%. Yeah.
Mhm. That's cool. All right. All right, Janu. Thanks for being the first guest on the podcast.
Mhm.
We run like chats with my friend, but you are the first actual guest to be on here. So thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed it, and
Yeah.
thanks everyone that was watching for listening. And if you enjoyed the episode, make sure to follow us, like it, and we'll see you next time.